Getting mad cause you no regular. Getting mad cause you no regular.
Hey, how are you? I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for asking. And welcome to the podcast. My name is Cherise, also known as J'adore Lumiere, and welcome to the Hey, How Are You podcast, where I'm introducing you to my life and to my experiences and the things that actually make me tick. And I'm very, very happy to meet your acquaintance, and I hope that you stay along for this journey because it's going to be a good one. Well, first things first, I would just like to say that I am a 37-year-old woman from Birmingham area of Jamaican descent. And I have been educated in the Birmingham and Walsall area. And, the environment that I've lived in growing up has molded me and allowed me to see who I am and who I am not. And through my experiences through social media and through my experiences of traveling the world and going through the ups and downs of becoming a young person, developing into a woman, and also living with the experiences of being institutionalized through the system via social services, by isolation and gang stalking and all kinds of different things that have actually molded me to become the person that I am today. So forgive me if I'm waffling on, but we're gonna get there. Don't worry, we're gonna get there. So like I was saying, I am currently a single occupant of a HMO, which is considered to be government-funded public housing that is administered to people who are in vulnerability. Now, the point that I'm trying to make with this is that there is a very big problem with the service that I'm experiencing at the moment. And I think that is something that other people may be experiencing, maybe not on the same scale, but an experience all the same. Now, what I'm trying to do at this moment in time is to document my experiences and to be able to reach an audience that may have been experiencing the same things but felt as though that they were alone in the situation. Now, through coming back to the UK, I was actually in the Caribbean during the pandemic, and during that time, I was experiencing a domestic violent relationship that actually, changed my whole persona and outlook of life, and completely broken me as a person. I was deported back to the UK about 2 years ago and have been living in so-called supported accommodation since. What I'm actually trying to speak to you about today is my experience of being victimized, bullied, harassed, and human trafficked through the actual public sector systems, and also being the victim of humiliation, sacrifice, and plagiarism and monetization through the medias. Now, it sounds very long-winded, it sounds very crazy, and, of course, most people would believe that I must be having some kind of nervous breakdown or I must be experiencing some kind of mental discord. But in actual fact, I've actually spent the time to reflect on myself, to work on myself, and to try to find a way to articulate what it is that I'm experiencing without actually being a representation of a stereotype of an ABW. For those who are not familiar, we're speaking about the angry Black woman. And I have been that. I have been that many times in my life, but I have grown and I have done the work. I have actually worked on myself well enough to know who I am and what I am capable of and what I won't stand for. And just through being vulnerable and going through trauma and domestic violence has made me a victim of circumstance that should never have been. And it's a lot to take in and it's a lot to endure, but I hope that you're still listening and that you are taking notes, because there is something in here for everybody. Now, what I'm trying to get at this moment in time is that my life has been monetized and used in the media and the music industry and on social media platforms over the past 2 years whilst I've been living in a HMO. Unbeknown to me, I've been illegally filmed and remotely viewed within my property, and the filmings from my property has actually been used to create social media content, to create music, to be used as backstories and synopsis for cable TV networks, and the list goes on, to the point where I now don't even watch TV. I haven't watched TV for many years, and now I don't really listen to the radio. I select what I want to listen to. Programming is inevitable, but you have the ability to choose what programs you. You don't have to be programmed by something that is constantly perpetuating to you that you are less than, and all at the same time mimicking your very existence whilst keeping you in poverty. That is something that's actually emotionally broken me. It's made me feel fearful. It's made me feel less than a human being, and it has left room for criticism for mental health issues. And yes, I am a victim of my circumstance. I do understand the role that I have played in regards to that, but there is a bigger, larger scheme at work that has actually kept me in a impoverished fetal position when I was more than ready to stand up many moons ago. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I am what I would consider a creative, somebody that is interested in acting, singing, media, and all different types of different formats of creativity. I have been interested in the arts since I was like in junior school, primary school. I was always starred and featured in plays for school, singing competitions, the choir. Like, I was always interested in creative arts because it allowed me to express myself, and it allowed me space to really grow as a person and understand my creative development. My first experience with the arts in a professional setting, which molded me for life, was my experience working with Don Kinch. Don Kinch is a director of the Arts Fest, not Arts Fest, the African Arts Center in Handsworth. And I wrote a play called Misunderstood, which was featured in the Arts Festival and was actually toured in Africa based off my work. This was all whilst I was working with Don Kinch, whilst I was also in a behavior center because I was having behavioral problems from school. And during this time, I was also living in a children's home environment. My play was taken from me and monetized and used to pay a whole cast of people that were casted by him and myself to work alongside us to actually bring my dream to fruition. And inevitably, my dream got taken away from me. Nobody could help me with this either. My play was then given to another young person who then edited and modified my work and continued to plagiarize my work. At the time, during this period, this person was very inappropriate towards me. At the time, other adults around the situation could see that the situation was clearly grooming, and the budget that was actually applied for was mishandled heavily. And when I spoke out against this, and I made it quite clear that I wasn't being treated fairly and that I was being manipulated and abused and my idea being stolen away from me, nobody spoke up for me. Nobody spoke up for me. Nobody said anything. Nobody did anything because they were all getting paid, right? Meanwhile, I was sitting down in the social services system, unable to travel, unable to have sufficient income, unable to access resources or to speak out against what was happening to me because, as it were, the collective of people that were involved in the situation, they were benefiting from it, so they weren't ready to speak on it. Now, it after experiencing this type of loss and this type of plagiarism and robbery at such a young age, it just made me not want to write again. It made me not want to be creative again because I didn't know what to do. In fact, it prompted me to study media. I did a BTEC media at college for digital media and moving image. And one of my main modules that I took interest in was copyright and plagiarism. I decided to educate myself on how to protect myself in the industry and still didn't feel confident enough to pick up my pen and try to write another script, to try to create another performance, because I felt like if they were trying to steal my creativity from me and I couldn't protect it, then what was the point of creating anymore? Now, fast forward 2 decades later, it seems to be that this person is not only stealing other people's work, manipulating public finances in regards to these productions, but also grooming other young people. People suddenly started speaking up about it. But when it was happening to me, when he started doing it to his own family members, to other young people, and seriously, handsomely taking advantage of public funding, now everyone wants to speak about it. Now everyone's got a problem with it. But when it was happening to somebody who had no voice and no family network and no ability to fight for their rights, nobody said a word. And I just find the hypocrisy in that is laughable, to be honest. And no matter how much it hurt me that I lost out on something that mattered to me, I didn't take malice towards this other person, and I didn't go out of my way to scandalize and to speak about them in a public way that would have publicized what was going on, because I was still being promised the earth and being stolen from. So it was like, what are you working on now? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Like, I was actively a part of a staff team and not paid and being stolen from all of the time. When I broke away from this group of people and this person in particular, it always made me feel as though, as a creative person, regardless of how talented you are never going to get paid what you're worth, and you will always get stolen from, and no one will ever try to help you. Now, fast forward to this modern current day and time in my adulthood, where I'm able to speak for myself, make certain choices for myself. I never really went back into my creativity the way that I should have, because this type of spiritual creative theft that I experienced at such a young age made a mark on me that I couldn't actually remove, and I really wanted to make sure that would never happen again. Now, I don't have contact with these people anymore, and I don't speak to them or, engage with them in any type of way. And I do respect the fact that I was given an opportunity at a very young age, but I also am very hurt and upset by the fact that what was done to me wasn't right, and that at the right time nobody spoke up for me when they really should have. And this person is a prominent character in the Handsworth, Birmingham area. This person is very well known within the media sector. This person is very well known in the education sector, and people were aware of what his behaviour was. His reputation as a womanizer or a philanderer was common knowledge to everybody, and it was almost ignored as though it was like, just one of those things. And part and parcel of me wanting to escape the the institutionalized environment that I was actually in. I also overlooked it as well because I honestly thought that I was going to achieve something from being aligned with somebody that maybe wasn't the most honest or the most trustworthy person, but obviously was respected and had the accolades to prove it, and was, you know, selling dreams basically is the long and short of it, is what I could explain to you. And, you know, I hope that there is another young person out there that have experienced the same as me, or if not worse, that they are able to understand that it's not your fault that you were preyed upon. What they really should have been doing was praying for you. What they really should have been doing was guiding you, not manipulating you or trying to exploit you or trying to hurt your gift. Because at the end of the day, energy siphoning is real. Destiny swapping is real. For a person that's of an older age or of maturity to purposefully steal something from somebody in their adolescence says a lot more about them than it does about you. Please don't give up on your gift. Please don't stop writing. Please don't feel as though just because one person did something bad to you that you're not capable of great things, that you're not worthy of being paid for your work, and that you have to exploit your body in order for you to actually have something in life. And I wish that somebody would have spoke to me in that way at that time, so that I didn't have over a decade's gap of me not being able to create, not being able to write, not being able to free myself from my institutionalized environment, and to allow myself to have a pathway out of the system that wasn't determined by whether anybody showed up for me. I was trying to show up for myself, and I failed. And due to that failure, it made me give up on my gift. And the point I'm trying to make, even though it may seem like I'm waffling on, I'm sorry. The point I'm trying to make is, if it doesn't work out the first time, that you should still pursue it, even in private. We call it vanity writing. You write, but you don't show it to anyone out of fear that they may judge you. But my fear was not that they would judge me, that they would steal from me. And that is the mere introduction of who I am as a creative person, what my previous accolades and achievements are, and why I stopped.
Getting mad 'cause you no regular. Getting mad 'cause you no regular. Oh yeah. Calling all ghetto youth in a Babylon. We are top out a place called Birmingham. Used to nice but it fall in a Gideon. Amphibian, or was it an Antillean? I'm born British but them say me no Caribbean. Draw me car, make me show you what we really on. 'Cause we had to reverse the curse. Them tried to rehearse. Things are getting better but they thought it would be worse.